I hope you guys are all comfortable. We wanted to move away from just having like a more, fully corporate, uncomfortable chairs, and there's couches, there's beers. I don't know if everybody knows. So I want to keep it casual, conversational. And yeah, I think you're really going to like this conversation. So before introducing Mandy, I'll introduce myself and two, what you guys should expect and how to, like what perception you need to have about what we're going to talk about, because a lot of people are interested in AI agents. It feels like a lot of people are on the sidelines. They're starting to see more and more real applications, and interest is growing. But we want to make sure that, like Maciek said, we give you our almost like insider view on how we are looking at things, how we are looking at the actual use cases, the good, the bad, the ugly. So it's almost like we're bringing you to the nosebleeds, courtside. We want to make sure you guys get a real look and feel in this case to how it, the reality of implementing for the first time AI solution as a company that hadn't done it before. So the conversation is going to flow in which we're going to start talking about the before. So what are some of the challenges you had that got you thinking about implementing AI technology? What were some of the negative consequences that you were experiencing that led you to a purchase? What was the purchasing process like? Like who got involved? What was helpful? Let's talk about the implementation, what things work, what risks you had to face that you didn't know was coming. Like what can you share for the audience? So we're going to keep it like pretty sequential through the entire journey of what it goes. What it means to not know about what to do with AI to fully seeing like actual results from it. So my name is Adrian. I head up the customer success team here in the US. And Mandy?
Yeah, my name is Mandy Scott. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I was born and raised in Southern Illinois. Have two daughters, one married, one not yet. And I started out in my employment journey as a nurse. Worked as a nurse for about 13 years and then decided to stay home with the girls, to homeschool them for a few years, which was the rave in that time span in Nashville. It seemed everyone was doing that. And so I decided to do that. And then I got bored one day as I got older and I decided to get back into work. And so I stumbled upon an old high school gym in our town. I'd heard about this company called Groove Life that made silicone rings. Asked if I could work there part-time, give me something to do. And that's what I did. I started out part-time in customer service and learned all the ropes and had a blast, and then was offered opportunity to work full-time and move more into management. And so I've been the CX manager for 2 years and at Groove Life for 6 this summer. So
great, yeah. Thank you. So as a starting point, I think take us back to maybe mid last year, when you identify certain problems within your team and you were looking for a solution. Like how did you navigate that, and what led you to think that it was the right time to bring an AI agent or AI solution into your business? Mm-hmm. Like what was that before scenario like?
Yeah, so before managing a team, we have 6 reps that were located in the Philippines who would work for our overnight evenings answering emails, and then we had the rest of our team, which were about 9 of us in Nashville in our office. And the challenge, it's just as middle manager, executive level, senior leadership level is always looking for more efficiency and scaling and making sure you're working with as little labor hours as possible. And then on the other end, you want to make sure you're taking really good care of customers and that customers are getting the answers that they need. And so we're just kind of seeing that that trend of customers really, wanting to self-check out, wanting to be able to get answers as quickly as possible. But also on the other hand, I knew there was no way we could manage that and answer everyone's questions, right when they wanted them. And so I started looking into AI. I knew the drive in me was if we could get chats on 24/7, and it would be something that would really help customers get what they needed quickly, and they would take care of business and convert and purchase and check out, and they'd be a customer at that point. I knew that would be the goal. Like that was my highest goal. Let's find a company that could do that for us. And so that started my journey. And I can tell you right now, I had no idea what AI was. I was very intimidated by it. Barely could use it on Google. Like if I asked it or like searched and used it for certain things. So it was very new for me. It took me probably a good 9 months to a year just to even get the concept as I studied and studied, then I started reaching out.
Nice.
Mhm.
So it sounds like, there was, like in most businesses, a push for efficiency.
Mhm.
You're in a difficult position where you have, obviously, the customer at the core of everything you do. You also have a element of human labor involved. And at the equal time, you have many leadership teams pushing you to drive efficiency, right?
Mhm.
So it sounds like you started exploring solutions in the market. Can you tell us a little bit more about like your like more, I would say, practical approach to, okay, we have a problem, we
Mhm.
think AI is the solution, right? It's still very conceptual, it's still, again, from the outside looking in.
Mhm.
Like as you get closer and closer to demos, evaluating technology, can you walk a little bit more through that process and like some of the things that you did to help you source the right partner and
Mhm.
what led you to eventually partnering with, in this case, Zowie?
Yeah. So we have a really cool customer service platform on Discord from that a lot of CX managers and people are on. I don't know if anyone here is on it, or if you've heard of it, or if you're in customer service. But anyway, it exists and it's really cool. So it feels like this little underground community of people. So I've relied on that a lot. And whenever I started in the journey, was asking. Of course, I already saw chatter. I already saw, like, I'm really good friends with Michael Ludwig from Hexclad and other places where they were already using a little bit of AI. And so I was asking them questions. And so I knew a couple of names. And then I was also getting fed companies from leadership at the office. And so I would demo them. I'd also reach out to the ones that were recommended to me. But what's really funny is no one, I only found out about Zowie through LinkedIn. And I reached out. I started looking at the website, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this looks amazing!" And so that's how I stumbled upon Zowie.
Okay.
It was really cool.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're evaluating all vendors.
Mm-hmm.
Some you're going out of your way to almost like, mm, your interest is leading you to reaching out.
Yeah.
Others, you're relying on through your network.
Mm-hmm.
Once you make the decision, like, okay, I'm going to give this vendor a go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what about, in this case, Zowie, was different from what you were seeing in other vendors? Were you just looking at like the power of the technology? Is it technology plus like implementation process? Like, what are some of those
Mm-hmm.
requirements that you guys had as a team that eventually dictated like the purchasing decision?
Yeah, so I did have a few goals in mind, and one was I obviously wanted it to be really robust, chat driven. That was a big priority. Secondly, I really wanted to figure out a way to be able to report or be able to connect generated revenue to our team, which is something we hadn't been able. I couldn't figure out how to do. It was just so that's very challenging, and so that was on there. I didn't expect to get it from Zowie, but it was up there. And I want to figure this out in 2024. And then of course pricing was something that we had to look into as well. And I just created a spreadsheet, and everyone I looked and demoed, I just put all their positives, negatives, and got down to two that I really was honing in on because they were both coming at me with the most potential. But what got me in the end was, again, like also understanding the difference between intent and just like the process-driven AI versus generative AI. As I was learning it and getting, I'm not an expert, and so you'll hear me say that I sound very new to it, and that's because I still feel like I am. But generative AI, when I demoed that to me, it was mind-blowing. And my boss, who was vice president of D2C, was involved in the demoing and conversations, and he was very impressed as well. So I knew if I could get him to buy in, I would have another leg in the executive leadership decision making. So.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. And I would say that it's similar to what we've seen with other customers, which is, for those that are not in customer experience, for the most part, up until, late half of 2022, the approach to chatbots is all rules based. You give the instructions, the chatbot will do whatever those rules are. And now there's a push where it's like there's no more rules, it's fully Gen AI enabled, and that's something that we're pushing with our customers.
Yeah.
Great, super helpful. So decision is made. Let's talk about an implementation, right? That's something that we get a lot of questions around. It's like, oh, this sounds great, but we are a team that wants to move fast. We want to have this all of this integrated, implemented. We want to be live. Like, can you just walk us through, like, internally that process? Obviously, this was a new endeavor for you, so maybe intimidating.
Yeah.
You guys are investing in new technology. That's never it's never obvious what comes next. So can you speak a little bit more about, like, just, you know, as granular as Luan, like, how did that look?
Yes, first of all, we implemented AI oh my goodness, like the first week of November, right at Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It's like our Super Bowl of the year. It was wild and crazy. I still can't believe we did it, but we did. We pulled it off, which was insane. So that alone was kind of crazy. But what I did moving in the months or the weeks at least ahead of time, I had a particular CX rep that I knew I wanted to be kind of like the manager or trainer of the chatbot. So I started feeding her information, just the help docs from Zowie, just anything I could to help her to understand, because she wasn't directly involved in all of the meetings up to that. So I was trying to help her to get educated and feeling more confident, as she was going to be the one responsible for training, which we've actually named her Becky. I don't know. I didn't tell anyone that, but I'm like, I need an internal name to call our AI chatbot, and her name is Becky. So she's an agent, and so I'm like, we got to train her, and we have to have someone who's designated to do that. So that was really important, that she felt confident and able to do that. And the other thing we did too is we started out really slow. I did 2 weeks worth of. We have a live help team, so kind of separate our department in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time. We're all live help, so it's making phone calls. We don't take in calls, but we will call people if they leave a message. And chat, so we knew we were going to turn them on, and we literally gave it the message, hey, I'm an AI chatbot in training, and asked them to like test it out and give it a try, and if you need an agent, we're right here to help you. And so we did that, and we only allowed the chatbot to work between those times because we really wanted to, I mean, you would never turn a CX rep out on their own to start taking calls or emailing people without like significant supervision. So that's what we did for a couple of weeks. And finally, after, I mean, we had everybody at work. I told everybody that worked at not even just CX, everybody at Groove Life, go to our website and chat away with our chatbot, and we would be on the back end and working together, training it. The training part is super cool. You've got a lot of control and supervision over what's being said and fed to the customer. And so that was really important. That person I designated was confident. She felt trained. She knew that was her responsibility, and that we went really slowly, and we named her. That was fun.
Nice. That sounds like a fun implementation.
Yeah.
One thing that I think a lot of people overlook, and it's that, especially when it comes to buying like AI technology, people over-index on the technology capabilities, but leave behind the idea that you need a lot of teams involved to make it happen. This can get really, really complex at large orgs, but it is not simple. That, you know, we work with also some smaller D2C brands, and it is, you know, it's a team effort. Like, can you speak a little bit more about that part? Like, how did you pull strings internally to make sure that, you know, you had the right technical expertise supporting you, but also, you know, you had your agents understanding how this would work in the future and how that might change the way you worked before. So can you just tell us a little bit more about how you could quarterback getting all teams on the same page to make this work?
Yeah, definitely. So it's not super challenging for us, simply because Groove Life, we're really scrappy. We work very efficient. We keep ourselves debt free, and so we just are very particular about how many people we hire and all the things. And so we have one guy in IT who also works in other areas, but he handles IT, so we reeled him in. And then our VP of Systems, of course, was involved. Our D2C Vice President, he was involved, especially at the beginning and through the demoing and the decision making. And then he has stayed involved because of the website and e-com. He wants to be able to, you know, see how things are going, and he's doing some testing and things like that with the chatbot as well, which is really cool. So we kept it really tight. We really didn't have a ton of people on calls. We basically kept our IT, our systems, and we really didn't have him on a lot of calls unless it was something we really needed additional help. And then myself and the rep that was in charge. So, I mean, we pulled it off with just a few of us, and we didn't really have to have tons of extra help.
Nice. And from a, I would say, challenge standpoint, like what were some of the challenges that you guys had to deal with, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I think some of the challenges just I think just come with technology. The more I'm in this role and the more experience I'm getting, the more I realize it doesn't matter what you're onboarding. You're going to have your challenges and your technology issues and things like that. But I'll be honest, one of the main reasons why I ended up pulling the trigger and saying yes at the end of the day with Zowie, and simply is because I knew going into this, I was not capable. I did not have the expertise and wasn't going to go into this alone. And so I made sure I had some CX support from Zowie, and that was like top. So for every challenge that we had, whether it was integration, an API, something, and again, this is not my world or wheelhouse, but those kinds of things, we made sure that Adam is our rep from Zowie. We just made sure that every time we met, we came with him with every problem. He was listening, we felt heard, he made sure we had solutions and things worked on. And so I really think more than anything, you're never going to find a company that won't have the issues, but if you have the customer support, you can get through just about anything. So to me, that was what was most important, because, I'm trying to think of anything else that was really challenging, but honestly, I think it was just more of the technology piece and just making sure things were connecting correctly.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I know you work a lot with Adam, so
Good
to hear that you get all the support you need. And then once we move to, I would say, the next phase is like you're implemented. It's things are up and running. Your team, you're getting more comfortable and working. Like, how do you guys approach, I would say, a little bit of the creative process as far as like, okay, where can we go from here, right? Mm-hmm. Because now you have a new technology that has a lot of potential. Mm-hmm. It is changing how you guys approach key business functions very quick.
Yeah.
And it opens a lot of opportunities. So I'm just curious, like, once you're up and running and you're planning, your business strategies, like how does now AI fit into that? Has it like increased the, I would say, availability of strategies that you can do in a more effective way that before were not a possibility, for example?
Yep, absolutely. So Nick, the vice president of D2C, he was highly involved in the process. And so just for an example, this week, he brought up a test with Adam, which they're working through the website, making sure the chat is on correctly. But he had the idea, we have two really, our higher end, our more premium products, which is a leather belt and then a trace wallet that has a tracker in it. And he really wants a chat, because right now we only have our chat bot. And that was another thing too, with strategy, we kept it on our help center and then on our warranty page to start. And that's where we wanted to kind of like get the chatbot trained the most there. And so now we're moving into, he's like, hey, okay, so we've got it automating about 30-ish%, 32, 36% of the chats. It's working really well. On the back end, he was working with training it and telling the chatbot what to say or what kinds of questions, and practiced and got it really well, like a well-oiled machine ready to go. And then now they're working on connecting an A/B test to see conversion rate and see how well the chatbot does and the way the customers interact with it, and if they convert, if they don't. Like, it's really cool. I'm really excited for that. And then we also have another company that we use that we're considering, like, we're going to see what strategy we can, if that works, like moving forward, see how we can implement it more in browsing and more pages to be able to encourage conversion then, instead of trying to capture them after they've left the website or after they've abandoned their cart. To me, that was the goal, conversion. And my brain was always driven by, gosh, I know if I can get an answer and I'm a customer and I feel confident I'm going to buy, and if I don't, I'm just, I'll go find somebody else, or I just, I hop out. So for me, that was the goal. And I think the opportunities are going to be really exciting moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. And that brings me to the idea that, so far what we've been talking about is like the power of AI for CX, for customer support, right? It's almost like a defensive play. Like, how can this allow me to hopefully reduce costs, but if not, keep costs as they are as the business continues to grow? And now we're seeing a lot, and we started speaking about this recently, which is, well, what happens with you guys helping us generate more revenue? How can you do that, right? And you're bringing an example to us that is like, hey, I saw your other client has these recommendations. Can we do that? So can you just speak a little bit more about, like, you talked about conversions, like what else do you think you could do with Zowie, for instance, to help you drive more revenue?
Yeah, so one of the things I got excited about, because if you manage a CX team, you know very well that you're always fixing problems, and that can be very depressing sometimes, especially if customers are not happy. And most of the time they're not, and they're in a hurry, they're anxious, they want to just get their problem solved and moved on. And so, and to be a really good customer service rep, you have to have feelings, you have to care about people. And so what I got excited about and made my wheels really got to turning was, one, they could find value in the chat generated revenue because it's attached to them. If the customer interacts with them and they purchase within 48 hours, that generated revenue goes to them, which is super cool. So I share that out every week. Hey, highlight of last week, this person was the highest revenue, and just give them something to be excited about and cheer each other on with. And so I love that. And then just the idea of being able to train them more into a sales or shopping assistant type role. I think for me, that's fun and that's exciting. And you're doing more than just order status or just fixing something that wasn't right. Like, yes, let me help you find the right ring for you and your wife and your husband or your kids. Like, that's fun to me. And so I love that option to be able to begin kind of evolving more into that role.
Nice, nice. As we think about, I want to make sure that the audience can learn from, your experience with Zowie. Like, what are some, I would say, like key lessons that you've learned in the last 6 months? You can go back as like when we started. Hey, I'm thinking about purchasing AI technology, to where you are now, where you are. Your team is well structured. The technology works. You are thinking forward about what else, how much more juice can we get out of this? And it seems like, the opportunity is huge. So like, if in that entire cycle, like, what are some key lessons that you can share with the audience?
So if you have one moment, I wrote these out very detailed because I really wanted to make sure I share these as I answered them. So one, hold please.
For sure.
I know, it's like towards the end, I think, right? And I should have grabbed my glasses. Hang on.
Right.
That's not it.
5 minutes.
Okay. All right. Here they go. Are you ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Number one, share the vision, the why with your team, and be very honest with them about the expectation and possibilities early on in order to help them feel like they're getting to be a part of the process. So when you start to talk about AI, I had one of my reps even say, like, you can't talk about AI with us because that makes us, we're going to lose our jobs. So don't talk about it. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. This isn't about you losing your job, but it is about, if you leave your job, I have a way to scale this department instead of trying to hire other people. So it's trying to allow them to be a part of the process and understand why. And one of the things I did say was, like, everyone freaked out when Walmart did self-checkout or pickup. And I was like, listen, what it did was it took people from the register and put them on a cart, and they're shopping for people. They didn't lose their job. Their job's just different. And so for me, that's kind of the way I've approached it with my team. Is it's not so much you're losing your job. It's more about, it's going to be a little different, but it's cool and it's fun. So share the why. Be clear about your goals and intentions for onboarding it. Keep these realistic and attainable. And then share small wins along the way. So like I said, just keep it super tight for a little bit. You don't want to let the chatbot run wild, but in the process, you do want to take your time and have every small win. Like very often through the week, I'm posting some sort of a win that I can find from how many generated chats were deflected or however that may be. Ensure all leaders on the team get access to training as soon as possible. This will help minimize any fears or hesitations about the changes, and that was very important. I wanted my leaders to know, like, this is what the tool looks like. I made sure I had demos recorded, and I gave them time to sit and watch the videos, ask questions, access to Adam whenever we were onboarding or any questions they had. I was always listening to them and escalating them to Adam, making sure that they were heard and that their questions were answered. And so that was really important to support them. And then just dedicate one person to be your AI manager to make sure that someone's taking full ownership of the process and ongoing training. So Yeah, the chatbot is definitely an agent, and it does require some training. And up front, it was very realistically set. It was like close to 40 hours at the very onset of the training. Like we knew it was going to take time, and I had to carve that out with the rep we assigned to do that. And then now every day, she knows every morning she jumps on, she trains the bot, goes in the back end, works through the messages, making sure that the answers are there, and then goes about her day back into tickets and works. And so it's very minimal unless we're training it to do something new, and then I'll set her on a task and say, hey, we're doing this, go train Becky because she needs to know how to answer her customers in upcoming days.
And super, those are great. And I think the last one ties to the first one you said, which is, well, if you bring this technology, I might lose my job. You're actually, this is a bigger conversation, but it's like what roles are being created. This is one that I personally think, and Matthew would agree, that you're going to start seeing a lot in all types of teams, which is the AI supervisor role. So you just, maybe not intentionally, but very intended, but you created a role that I think is going to get standardized as more enterprises adopt AI technology. That one is important. Cool. Yeah. I know we're in time, so I want to make sure we stay on track. But Mandy, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank y'all. It's fun.
We doing Q&A?
Yes, questions. Yes.
We have a lot of questions.
You have to email me.
How much of what you're doing is really agentic, and how much of it is just chat? And the part that is agentic, what are the features of it being an agent that people are using?
Okay. Will you say it again, what you said at the beginning, the chat versus what?
So chat versus, so if it's implemented as an agent,
yes,
it has some capabilities to do things that just chatting wouldn't be able to, just typing prompts and getting responses. So I was wondering what features of it being an agent is being used by your customer service organization, and how much is that used by the customers as opposed to just chat?
Yeah, so we do have some processes that we have set up. So for any exchange, I'm hoping I'm answering your question correctly, but when a customer reaches out through the chatbot, they have, that chatbot knows there's some workflows that are built into it. So there are some things that are automated, and it does know what to do to answer it. So they say, I got something and I want to exchange it. Immediately, so you want to exchange something? Yes or no? Yes. And then it prompts the workflow for that, which is to send them to our portal to exchange. Am I going the right direction?
It's okay. I didn't know how much you would jump in, because you mentioned chatbot a lot, so I get the sense that it's a regular interaction. So customer says this, they get a response.
Yeah. It's yes.
As opposed to, hey, do this, and then let me know when you figure it out.
Gotcha.
Fully conversational.
Yes. Yes, and it's so funny because the girl that I have as my rep that takes care of it, she sends us screenshots all the time and like, look at this. It's just so crazy. She's always amazed by it because it's, it literally will say just really on point conversations, and we did not tell her to say that, but yet she's taken what she's learned and has brought into a personality, because you set up a persona too, which is really cool. Persona and guidance, those two things really give it the voice that you want for your brand. And so that's really cool. So you can, tell it how to respond, what kind of personality you want it to have, which we did, because brand is really important for us. So yeah, most of it's conversational unless a word is triggered, and then it'll go into a workflow. Yeah. Thank you for your patience. You got two of you who was, yes.
So quick question.
Yeah.
You said at the beginning you use customer to experiencing Becky, and you tell them that there are current issues on training. What was the customer's response to that? Were they engaged? Did they understand it? Did they love it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly, it was pretty neutral. Most people just, if they were able to get their answer, moved along. We made sure, though, that there were reps available to answer pretty quickly. We really didn't have very, very minimal reaction in regards to negative. I think because we let them know up front and they had a choice. And then now she's so on point most of the time. I mean, every now and then she'll go rogue and we'll fix her, and it's okay. We know it's not perfect. And I'll be honest, I'm a customer. If I go on a chat bot, I know, or a chat, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a chat bot at this point. But they're annoying because for me, I don't feel like they're answering correctly. You never know it was a chat bot. She just so conversational. It's really cool. So, yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. Yes.
You would have answered this, but where do you have the chatbot located? I'm just curious, you have it on the regular website itself, you have it towards the checkout spot, or
Mm-hmm. So we've limited it to just our help center and our warranty page because almost 50% of our volume is warranty. So there's a survey set up where it collects information and brings it into us as an email. So we have that going on, which our deflection rate would be insanely better. But we just have a process right now for warranties that have a handover, which prevents it from being really, really, really good. But she's doing her thing. She's doing what we tell her to do. So, yeah. Am I okay to answer that?
Yes, sure.
Okay, I'm like,
Guess we have plenty of time.
yeah, okay, yes.
How do you evaluate the quality of the conversation?
So in the back end, every single conversation line by line is given to you as the part that you train. And so if we don't like the way it answers, we can tell her to not say that, or we add a snippet, or we can add information or guidance. And Adam's been helpful in this as well when we've needed, like, we just can't get her to do it this way. And so he'd be like, oh, you need to do this. So there's a little bit of tech in there involved and some ideas that we don't always know, but you see every line, every single thing said, which is like awesome. So nothing's missed. Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, if I'm understanding your last few sentences correctly, you are having a live person monitoring chatbots in real time. Is that how it's working right now?
So in regards to workflow through the day, we have 2 agents who, what we did starting out was 1 agent for the first half of the day and 1 the second half. And we also set up the number of queue that you're in. If a customer comes through, that they know if they're second, third, fourth, whatever. So we just recently changed to 2 reps a day at the same time so that they could kind of take a break, and that gives them a moment. So we have 2 people doing that, and then they get an email, 1 email. If they don't get a chat, there's an email that'll come in, they can work on that. Or they can get up to 3 chats at a time, which they pretty much always have 3 chats. They're very rarely getting to an email. And then we have 1 rep responsible for training her on the back end each morning. She comes in. Sometimes she'll hit it in the afternoon as well, but usually she'll just come in the next morning, and she will literally line by line click on it, and it pulls up the conversation. You go through every line, what they said, what the bot said, what they said, what the bot said, and you literally approve or tell it to do something differently. And that's part of her job.
In real time.
Afterwards. I mean, with Mandy Scott.
Oh, she's not working chats while doing that. That's something administrative she does in the back end.
But when you say approving, what does that mean?
So there's a dashboard in the back end that it's kind of like a QA where you can go look and review conversations.
Okay, so the conversation already happened.
Yeah.
Correct.
Saying,
Correct.
Do I like this answer or not?
Going forward.
Yes,
Got it.
yes.
Okay,
So there are times, yes, when it's like, she'll be like, oh no, don't say that, Becky. And we'll have to train her. And it's happened. And why I say is I'm okay with that is because I've been on millions of websites who I know it's a chatbot, and it's so frustrating. And so for that little bit of an issue, she's just doing so good and automating so many that it's okay. We just we train it and fix it and email the customer if we need to.
Got it. So
Yeah.
You haven't done any, sounds like you haven't done any A/B testing yet. So you
It's
don't
coming.
know, you don't know which one is better. Right now, I assume you have a sense of how much time is saved right, in terms of customer service hours, right?
Yeah, we are starting to see a decrease in emails because our chats are starting to double now that people are finding it and they know that it's on the help center and they're utilizing it more, and our email volume actually is starting to I'm starting to see a little trend of it decreasing, which is awesome. I'm be glad to see it go. So we haven't had it long enough, like 1st of November, and that was the busiest season of all. So we'll really, Q1, Q2 will be our really good months of seeing true evergreen
And you don't have like a customer satisfaction of human versus chatbot yet.
I think Zowie, Zowie does not have, I don't think it CSATs the chat bot yet, but we have that one. Adam's got it on his list. They can leave feedback, but they can't score it, and we want it to score, so I think that's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. Like the CSAT for the whole conversation is coming next quarter.
There you go.
Can make it accountable for this, but it's part of our roadmap.
Yeah, we want to know how she's doing. She gets a CSAT too. Yeah, those are good questions. Anybody else? Yeah.
The last one.
Sure.
Sorry, so a lot of the time as customer support leader, they will say we're not 100% tech savvy as well.
Oh yeah.
Now, I've been exploring all kinds of different AI companies lately, and some of them, I will say, more self-service and comfortable to do that. It's pretty straightforward. You can train the system. Some of them require you more complex setup in the beginning for that to be operate smoother later. With your experience with Zowie, how easy was it to set up the AI at the beginning?
Man, AI was easy. It was really easy. I didn't do it, but it seemed really easy because our IT guy, it was literally just hey, it's turned on, and he was like, yeah, and I connected it, and it was on. Like, we had to tweak a lot of, just the verbiage up front and some of the way that things that it said, learning that part of just getting it, what the greeting would be and those kinds of things. But in regards to just having it on, it was really easy. It wasn't hard at all. And it's very user-friendly in the back end for us too. At least I feel like it is.
So you said you can give it a personality,
Mm-hmm.
and so it can have it has a certain character.
Yeah.
Is it one fixed character, or is it you get it knows who the customer is. It's going from an IP address in New York, so it gets a certain character.
Oh,
as opposed to
yeah. Yeah, so it'd have a southern drawl if it was down in Georgia, and then it would be honking its horn, as they do here in New York, people. That was the first thing I said was, dear God, why is everybody honking? They're so loud. It's crazy. Yeah, but no, you get to tell it to don't give any more than 3 emojis, and don't do angry faces, and don't all kinds of fun things, but there's only one persona. You can't, as far as I know, you can't make it individual.
It's more like brand voice.
Because you want it to be.
Brand rather has only one way they want to
Yeah.
communicate.
Yeah.
But
certain
the
jargon.
way if it feels that the customer is getting negative, it can be more empathetic in this moment. If it's customer is more joyful, it can react to some kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
you can feel we can grant you access.
Yes. It will come through and say customer's in a bad mood, and I'm like, they're going to change that right now. And I'm sorry, I have a silly personality, but yes, it will definitely tell you, give you a little analysis of they're in a good mood or they're in a neutral mood. It's we're going to make that a good mood today. So, yeah, it's really cool.
Awesome.
Okay, I'll let you have it.
Mandy,
I'll
great.
be
Thank you
here
so
if
much.
anybody has any questions.